How's everybody doing? Wayne County Audit here. I wanted to give you guys an introduction video to the channel. Welcome you all to the channel. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your donations. Thank you for buying, merchandise off the eBay store, Disabled Vet Source. We greatly appreciate all the support already. This channel, I have good hopes for it. And I hope that, we can deliver good content for you and meaningful content, And I really thank you for your time. And I'll try to make this video brief, but basically the reason I started this video was because, I've been the victim of police misconduct several times in my life, and I've seen it time and time again. And I have a background, paralegal studies from Georgia Military College, and I eventually got my bachelor's and my master's degree in organizational psychology. And what I've learned my whole life, is that the biggest problem I see in America is policing, modern day policing. And I think that there is definitely some things that need to change. Quite frankly, and until they do, this channel and hopefully many other channels will exist and continue to exist, because we've been shortchanged by our government for a long time now. And the police department in particular, are really they're in rough shape in America, and they don't seem to be really getting any better. Honestly, I believe that in a lot of ways they're getting worse. And I hope that at some point we can start seeing meaningful change. But that's what this video is about, is kind of what I think needs to happen in order for that to be a reality. And really it comes from the source itself, right? Police officers. If police officers want to get more respect and want to be more revered, or whatever you call it, they need to get their shit together. And they'll always say, well, it's not every cop, and that's like no shit, right? That's like saying, if you have a crop full of mold, then every part of it's going to be mold. Of course there's going to be good parts, and it's going to be scattered. But it's like with the police, right? The police are by and large a criminal organization. The Supreme Court's already ruled on this, right? This is case law. This is not really up for debate. Supreme Court's ruled that the police do not have an obligation to protect you, to serve you. Their obligation relies with the local government, the state, right? The whole purpose of the police force, as far as I can tell, is nothing more than revenue generation, first and foremost. Now, do they sometimes accidentally prevent crime? It's like look, the sun shines on the dog's ass every once in a while, right? But that doesn't change the rule, right? We don't look at the exception and go, well, that's all we're going to focus on. The rules are the rules for a reason. And by and large, police officers don't police themselves. It's just that simple. And so, the so-called good police officers, which there are some, good intended people, let's say, there's good intentioned people, but that doesn't change the fact that there's a lot of police misconduct, and a lot of it gets covered up, even with all the cell phones. And the police still get away with egregious shit all the time, every day in this country, despite cell phones, despite body camera, because they've gotten to the point where they just won't give you a FOIA. They'll just redact the level of chicanery that they're willing to go to. It's not a fair fight. Most civilians don't have nearly the number of resources that these police budgets are, and these government budgets are, these local municipality budgets. And so, they know that, and especially in like the Midwest and the South, they fuck with people. They fuck with people all the time. And they fucked with me. They continue to fuck with me, and they fuck with other people too. And my whole purpose for this channel is to kind of expose that to the world, right? Like, if they're willing to do it to me, well, then who the fuck aren't they willing to do it to, right? I mean, look at all the case law. I mean, American Disabilities Act, Fair Housing Act, 100% disabled veteran, minority, right? I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on, right? And I can lay out all these different protected classes and things like that, and it doesn't appear to make a fuck of a difference to the police at large. Yeah, you have individuals. Some police departments are better than others on average, and we can get into the data and the average and the statistical analysis, but the bottom line is that by and large, the police are corrupt from the inside out. And until we have police officers invoking change, trying to pass legislation, trying to hold other police officers accountable for their bad conduct, their misconduct, there's just simply not going to be any meaningful change in this country. Outside of, revolution, people like me, other people continue to, build channels up like this and continue to organize and protest and, try to redress our grievances with our elected officials, right? That's what we can do on our end. And, of course, there's probably other things we can do too. But, I mean, we're kind of at a standstill here. And until we get meaningful legislative change, but more than just legislative change, legislative change is great, but you also have to implement the legislative change and you have to carry it out. And a lot of these police departments run on a good old boy system, buddy system, and it's like a gang, right? And they all protect each other, they all cover for each other, and it's a big family, and you ain't in it. I mean, it's just that simple. And so, having police officers having their own internal review boards, well, that's a joke. I mean, that's that goes without saying, right? So the only way to begin to fix that is you have to have independent civilian-led review boards. You'll have maybe a couple, like a retired judge, maybe an active judge, maybe a retired lawyer, maybe an active lawyer. So you have maybe 4, and then you would say that maybe 8 just civilians, and then you'd have a panel of 12 people, and it would be balanced because it'd be mostly civilian. And but you would also have some specialty advisors, right? A retired judge, maybe an active judge, or maybe a retired judge and an active lawyer, retired lawyer. I mean, you only need a couple, right? You only need a couple experts, maybe 2 or 3, maybe 4, and the rest should be made up of civilians, and it should be something that allows for a good impartial review of the facts of any case, right? So if there's a dispute, if there's a discrepancy, if there's a claim of police misconduct, it has to be not the police, not, you can't police yourself, right? It's an oxymoron. And so the only way is to have, civilian-led internal review boards that, can make decisions and carry those decisions out, because you have to be able to initiate force. Otherwise, it's you can make a decision, but, if there's no one there to enforce it, well then, but these, this should be independent review boards and, different, maybe create new agencies that have different jurisdiction, right? So they have jurisdiction over local governments, and then you have another review board for the state, and then you have another one for, the federal, right? But of course, the powers that be are never going to want that to happen. So, quite frankly, we have to organize and be willing to fight the good fight, guys. I mean, it's just that simple, right? I mean, they show up at my house, I tell them no, tell them to fuck off, I assert my rights, and it's just that simple, right? So, you can be bold or you can get run over. And so I've taken a stand with this channel. So I hope you enjoy, and I hope you tune in. But got to get going and get some work done. But we'll talk soon, guys.